welcome.
How
as you can see, Neon Demon is gone.
Yeah. Last episode, we were done up a little inhuman. But this episode, and we talked about the Face Gawdess and the Neon Demon and the makeup portion of, like, just our business and our friendship. But this week, we're going to be talking kind of about our physical.
I feel like I need a table in front of me. I'm so fat right now, you guys. Like, all right. I'm never a skinny girl. That's not a thing. But I'm usually not quite this much girl. I'm more girl than I want to be right now.
And I think we talked briefly about my weight loss of losing over 200 pounds. So, quick recap. Project Drinking Violet. All the information will be down here somewhere. But, so I oh, bless you. I got a gastric sleeve.
God, wait.
Okay. Okay, hold on.
Wow.
Hands up! No.
Why did I sneeze upon inhale? That was, woo. Ooh, that tried to take me out.
That's a blunt conversation for you. So,
take two.
Yeah. So, I did have a gastric sleeve about 3 years ago. At that point in my gastric sleeve, when I was sleeved, I was 325 pounds. But at my heaviest, I was about 405 pounds. When I started my weight loss journey, I was around 370 pounds. Like, when I was like, okay, I'm going to get serious, I'm going to start losing weight, I'm going to get this surgery. So, because, that's why I was saying, because she's gained a little weight since we moved to Georgia because of Chick-fil-A.
Not even honestly, I know why I gained weight. It's because, like, when I was home, I was on a pretty strict diet of lime popsicles and the occasional Sour Patch Kids. But since we've been down here, I noticed I haven't been eating my popsicles as much. And, like, Rose was like, well, what have you been eating? And I was like, food.
I also cook. Like, we've moved in together.
Right. And I am very much like a bowl of cereal for dinner kind of girl. And Rose is like, let's make a spread. And she can cook, so I'm not gonna not, like.
I earned my 400 pounds, honest. You better believe
I'm not gonna not eat. She made pesto from scratch. Like, we about to get some more pesto supplies today.
Oh,
she don't know that, but
apparently,
surprise.
That's so funny, because I'm black Italian, and, like, some shit is, like, default, so, like, pesto and Alfredo and, like, sauce is just in there. It's like, Prego, I can just do it. And, like, she was like, pesto.
Word. Like, because I like pesto, like, being out at restaurants and stuff, and so we were just having, like, a random conversation, and she was like, oh yeah, I know how to make pesto, and I was like, you do?
Like, I felt like I was gonna make it that second. She was like, okay, let's get this. But, like, again, we love food, which is like, that's a cultural thing. I feel like just it's good food. Like, good food is good food, and so we, you know,
I definitely feel like it's a cultural thing, and, like, we talk about, like, a poverty thing, because, like, sometimes when you are in poverty, food is your reward. Food is the thing that, like, you know, getting, like, a little extra money might mean you get to have a little bit nicer food, or maybe your mom will take you out, or maybe you can get some Viennetta.
Oh.
You know, we never had Viennetta in my house, but, like, I would see the commercials and I'd be like, this is the height of luxury! And, like, a $3 ice cream is the height of luxury when you're poor.
Like, I remember it was a big deal when my mom had enough money to take us to McDonald's. Like, it wasn't that it was, and you associate the food with the reward, but it was the big deal that we were getting to do something, because we were in poverty a lot of times. We didn't get to do anything. So if my mom had $20 to take us all, and we got to go to McDonald's Playland, like, you associate these things with happiness. Like, and it was interesting because Twy and I started, like, really hiking and getting healthy right around the time, because I had already dealt with all my mental health issues, my compulsive eating, my, you know, sexual trauma, all that stuff. I had dealt with that around the time, and was at the peak of me losing weight right around when COVID hit. So as everyone else was starting to, like, realize their life was distracting and, like, gain 60 pounds and start drinking, I had already done that. Like, I was like, been there, done that, I'm not going to do it again.
And I'm very much the type of person, like, as of right now, I've put on probably about 20 pounds. Outside of my normal fluctuations since I've been in Georgia, and I'm very aware of it. Like, today my hands got swollen, and I don't get, like, sometimes my knee gets swollen, but, like, I have to be doing the most work. So I'm very aware of my body, and, like, when COVID happened and everybody was being super, like, everybody's go-to default was like, okay, they said we can't go out to public events, so I'm gonna hole up in my house and drink liquor all day, every day. And I just was like, that's crazy. And I just was like, I'm going to go for a walk. And that's how I handled it. Because I was like, yeah, they didn't say we couldn't leave the house. So I left the house. I was like, I'm going to go for a walk. And I was walking by myself for a while. And then, like, and I was just like, you want to come with me, Rose? And then we started taking our walks together. We just went on a 7-mile walk today, which is why we look like this.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, like, I very much was like, I can't gain this weight back. I'm trying to make sure. I started running when the quarantine started. Like, on top of my hikes with Twy, I was like, oh, I need to be in a routine. Like, I understand how much, like, being healthy, you know, matters. But it's hard to be a woman. And what I like is about Twy and our relationship, like, she could say, like, I'm not comfortable, I've gained some weight, and I'm just like, no, I'm not telling her, no girl, like, no you haven't, like, eat that. I'm like, oh, okay, well, you don't feel comfortable, heard you, let's go for a walk. I'm also, like, being lazy right now. Like, I like how honest we are. I know it's hard for people, especially I feel like men, they feel like they can't be honest with women, especially when it comes to our bodies, because,
well, I feel like women, sad to say, can't be honest a lot of times with ourselves about what's happening with our bodies. Like, I'm not super pleased that I've gained 20 pounds, but I'm not ignoring it. It's not going to make the 20 pounds go away. And so I know, but because I'm aware, I'm not going to let the 20 get to 50. I'm not going to let the 50 get to 100. I'm going to be like, okay, stop laying around, get up, go outside. You don't need to be eating as much as you're eating anyway, because clearly you haven't been doing anything. So, you know, I'm gonna nip it in the bud, and it's a good thing that Rose is here with me, because she's the type of person to be like, yeah, let's go out and do something. Let's not lay around all day.
I know that she's aware of this. Like, some of my weight changes started from my toxic relationship I had with a man before, and the thing that he was able to do, no one had ever been blunt with me about my weight. Like, it was just a thing. Everyone knew I was big, and no one talked about it. And it wasn't until I met him and he was like, well, you seem smart and, like, pretty, and, like, what happened to you? And I was like, what the fuck? Like, who the fuck do you? But, what, like, you know, he was crass, but, like, what he was saying to me, like, well, you seem like if you didn't want to be this way, you just wouldn't, because that's the kind of person you are. And it just gave me pause to be like, oh, so you
see my face. I don't like this nigga.
No.
But I mean, when I said to Rose when she told me that, because she was like, nobody else, and I was like, because it's not appropriate. Like, if you didn't
do not go out here telling women they're fat. Don't do that. Disclaimer: do not do that.
Don't do that.
I did not say that. That's not what I said.
But I was like, in most cases, most people, if you did not bring up your weight, they wouldn't bring up your weight because it's inappropriate. If they have, like, social niceties in our play. This guy is a crazy nigga, so of course he's gonna be like, you're fat. But she was like, how come? And I was like, because you didn't. Like, people just aren't gonna be like talking to people about their weight. They assume you know you're fat. Yeah. They don't need to tell you about it.
And, like, we're not just gonna talk about being fat this whole episode, because it's really more about physicality. Because I lost 200 something pounds, like, and in doing that, like, I think I mentioned before, I have all this extra skin, I have all this stuff that I'm self-conscious about. But when I was losing the weight, I was very much like, my happiness is not encompassed in my physicality. Like, Jay-Z cheated on Beyonce, like, I was like, you know, Halle Berry out here, like, I had to be in a headspace of my body doesn't control my happiness. But saying that, and then losing 200 pounds, we're both right now, I mean, even in doing this podcast, I feel like we're being very raw about how you see us. You see us as real ass women. This is how we are. Like, some days we're cute, some days we're not. Like, but the thing about it is that we're both in an insecure state, like, right now. We were both not 100% feeling ourselves.
It's not like how in the last episode I was talking about the lights. That's the thing for me. Like, showing up in photos and in pictures and, like, not being lit correctly it's like almost like I have PTSD, because I remember, like, school photo day and I was almost never lit correctly, and I would get my pictures back and, like, I wouldn't look good, and it would be like, is this what I look like? Like, and you would just be like, have I always been this ugly, or am I just not finding out that I'm ugly? So like, when I got a little older and I started to realize, like, no, you're not ugly. You just weren't lit well, and maybe
Do you have some school photos?
Girl, no, we lost everything when we lost the house.
I was just thinking,
I don't have many pictures of me as a young person because when my mother went to rehab, the city came and boarded up our house. Because apparently while my mom was using, she stopped paying the mortgage. So, you know, all my shit, my artwork, my pictures, our furniture, just, that was a dub. It was gone. So no, there's no pictures. I have one school photo of me that I actually like, and I remember it. It was in 5th grade, and my mother had pressed my hair and braided it back in like one single French braid going like down, and I liked it, and I had on this nice dress that I liked, and I had a good smile and a good background and the light on my skin. I always remember that photo and feeling like I looked pretty in that picture. And then I always say that's the last time I took a school picture and felt pretty.
I have.
After 8th grade, you won't find any pictures of Twilisha in any school publications, because I was like, something's going on here, and I'm not going to keep being made a fool of in these photos. So I just stopped going to picture day. I was over it. No more pictures. I didn't even take a senior photo.
Oh, that's so sad. I know, but I know that's a thing, and like I definitely feel like again, you know, women come to, like you were saying, like we can't handle the truth, and I feel like you and I both are different kind of women. Like we can take the truth, and we are a little bit more perceptive about the truth. So I just feel like when people are being vulnerable about the way women look. Now here's the thing too, because it's like, you know, I'm trying to get this skin removal surgery, and I'm just like, I was conflicted because again, my looks aren't my happiness, but I've worked very hard to. It sucks to be worked this hard and not be secure in myself, but I also know that it's giving me time while I'm saving for the skin surgery, insert GoFundMe, to work on that, because again, I had to work on my insecurities when I was losing weight to push me to this level. So like,
and that's the thing, like, we had a conversation last year, and Rose was talking to me about, oh, maybe, I'm not sure, because I asked her, I was like, you know, are you going to have the skin removed? Because she was like, I got to tone up, and I was like, looking at her, and I was like, Rose, I mean, you can't, like, at a certain point, you can be as toned as you want, the skin is not going to allow you to show it. And so I had asked her, like, are you going to have your skin removed? And she was saying that she wasn't quite sure yet. Yeah. And she was like, part of me wants to just become okay with however I look. And she's like, and part of me wants to get rid of it. And she was talking to me about how she wasn't sure. Like, it was like a, I don't know if I deserve to feel sexy type of conversation. And I was like, well, of course you do. I was like, and there's nothing wrong with you saying I want to have this skin removed. I was like, because it's there, but if you think about it, it's not a natural state of being. Most people don't have this kind of a decision to make or a thing to even think about, because if you're fat, you are just fat. You don't ever think like, oh, I want to cut my fat off, because you know that that's crazy. But if you lose weight and you have skin, it's like,
there's a part of me, and she's not wrong. Like I resent looks so much because of the way I grew up. Growing up as the only, you know, black child in an all-white environment, there was always a fuss about the way I looked, and it just was like, I don't care. Like it mattered to everybody else but me. And so there's this part of me that it feels conceited to like want to have this off. I've been fighting. I never wanted to be anybody's stereotype, and I didn't want to be the pretty light-skinned girl. Like, I just thought that was, I don't know. Like, it's just
of all the stereotypes about light-skinned girls to reject, I feel like pretty is not the one.
But
maybe
you
reject
the attitude.
You know, maybe reject being stuck up. Maybe reject being colorist. Maybe reject, you know, thinking you're better than people because you're light-skinned. Like, reject those parts. But if you're pretty, you just are. And it has really nothing to do with you being light-skinned. Like,
yeah, I know.
It's not because you're light skinned that you're pretty.
But again, because like the same way you have those insecurities about the things that people were saying to you about your dark skin, people were saying those things about and but they were saying things that made me uncomfortable, like how much they liked it. I was like, that's weird. Like my dad, who was Twilisha's color, if not a little darker, was like always like, oh, my little high yellow baby, and like go around and brag about it. And I thought it was super weird because it was the thing that made me not look like him. Like, it was the biggest difference between him and me, and it was the thing that he was proud of, which was super. We'll get into a whole colorist episode. That's not exactly what this is going to be about. But, like, it gave me, I made a decision between my molestation when I was younger and the whole weird colorist things that were going on. I get what you're saying, because it's like you don't want to be, but like how, I almost feel like the way white people, how are you not racist if you grow up in an environment that's like this? I made a conscious decision to be fat. Like this was like, I was like, no, if I'm fat, then I'm not just a light-skinned chick, then I'm not just a vagina, then I'm not, like, I get to be a person. Like, I got to develop a personality because I was overweight. Like, as much as it was extreme decisions, but like when I made it as a kid, like it was kind of the right one. I don't see how I wouldn't have turned out like a super hyper light skinned bitch with all the.
I mean, the way that things are in the Black community, it is. I would imagine it is just as difficult for a light skinned woman not to fall into a specific role as it is for a dark-skinned woman not to fall into a specific role. Like, the way that you didn't want to be, like, the pretty light-skinned girl, like, I didn't want to be the loud, ghetto, dark-skinned girl. So, you know, I leaned into my intelligence, I leaned into my creativity, and that's how I was my own person. Because I was just like, I don't want to be the ratchet, loud Black girl. Like, that's what everybody expects of me, or they expect me to be mean, and I'm not mean.
I just didn't want to be known for my looks at all. Like, I because I was such an interesting, curious kid, like, who was so precocious, and anybody ever wanted to talk about was either my weight or my coloring or what am I or what. I was just like, like, doesn't anybody want to know my name? Like, you know. So that's the thing. So it felt vain to like want to get the skin removed and stuff, but also we're living in a world now where everyone's got to fucking build a body. So I'm just like, I don't, because I tend to not be a conceited and vain individual, but I'm doing this, you know, very
but because
cosmetic
we're honest
thing.
people. Like, I'm a makeup artist, but I also am building my social media profile because that's just part of the game in this day and age. Like, you have to have like that front facing situation. And I always talk to Rose about this. I'm like, I feel like I gotta get my body done. Like, and that's so stupid because I've never felt like that. I've never felt like I need to get my body done. But when I'm looking at these unreal ass bodies and these crazy ass proportions that are like cartoonish, if we talk about it, like, there's really no reason for you to have like a 23-inch face and like a 46-inch hip. Like, that's a lot. And like having these like very slender backs with these very like buxom, and it's like, I have a lot of titties, but I have a broad back, I have broad shoulders. Like, I was obviously built to carry this load. People be having like, I feel bad for, I was telling Rose, my nieces, I was like, big titties, they just run in my family. You just, it doesn't matter. My nieces, one of them was no longer slender because she decided to have babies and eat McDonald's every day. But, you know, life comes at you fast.
It happens.
But regardless of if she's skinny or not skinny, she has some big titties. And I was like, when she was slender, I was like, yeah, they were like a 32 double D, a 32 around. Think about that. Like, you always hear about 36 double D, 32. And it's just like, it almost looks silly on them because they're so slender. But it's just because our genetics call for it.
But the same way that she's like built for it, like when you look at my structure and now that I see, like, as I've lost weight, like I have very tiny wrists, I have a small frame. Like, I was not meant to carry anywhere near a 400-pound load. So like, me getting the surgery is like, it would be kind of just setting me back to default. Like, I'm not trying to get
like
Nicki
in her
Minaj
case,
body.
it definitely like I totally get it, and I was like, girl, do it. Like, you deserve to feel sexy. You deserve to be able to see your work.
And I just feel like she'll be fine. We're gonna go on these walks. She's not getting her body done. Don't worry. That's not gonna be a thing that I want, because
that's a thing that I have super like. It's weird. I'm very insecure about my boobies because they were never perky. Like I don't
know how high she wants them. I say this to her all the time.
I thinking about getting my boobs lifted. She said to wear space, but like literally in a bra, like they look amazing. I'm not no beef, but like
she's trying to live her life braless. Is what's going on.
I never got to do it. I never got to be
some people that's not their
teen girl that went braless, because literally I went from nothing to something over a summer.
I feel like she missed the thing that
had
she
like a
miss.
flat chest. Like I remember me
4 girls who got to walk around with perky titties. Like I was in high school. I didn't get to walk around with perky titties. I was breastfeeding, but there's 3 girls like that. There were 3 girls.
I just remember I was in school. My best friend, her titties came. I have no titties. I was like, what's going on?
I've seen her best friend. Her best friend's titties are still perky. Like, that's just a thing. Like, that doesn't happen for everybody.
My boobies came in, and they came in like super quick, real big and heavy. Like all of a sudden, I was a D cup, and I just remember they were always just kind of like, they're not mad saggy, but they're just kind of like meh. So I'm like, I just wish that they would sit up.
I just feel like,
and I think about getting a boob lift so that they'll sit up. I want my nips to be like boop. That's what I want.
Hey, if she eventually got
my nips are always hard, so it's stupid that they're not.
If she wants, it gets to that point, but I know she doesn't. And then but here's the thing: if that's what she just her heart's fucking desire, whatever. But not because she's in this industry. Like that's the thing too. Like I'm in media. I'm in it. This is my body and my face is part of it. Like if I cannot sit here, and I hate when women are like, I made it to where I made it off my brains. Yes, I'm fucking smart and I made it to where I am because of my brains, but also because I look a certain way. Like I'm not, and I've leaned into it. Like I didn't get a bunch of other resources. I'm poor and black, so if I got a good face, I'm gonna take that to get a job. Listen, like I don't know what to tell you. Like
I tell Rose all the time, my last job, I know I got my last job because I present well, I dress well, hair done, I look good, I'm pretty, I'm well spoken, and I did all the things. I showed up to the tip top of what these white people could expect someone like me to look like and to behave like, and I did get the job. And I was like, I know that if I was a little mousy girl, if I was kind of awkward, or if I was ratchet and ghetto, I wouldn't have got that job, and I wouldn't be here right now. Like, literally because I have that job is why we're here.
Yeah. And also, we've talked about the fact of her name, but also, I want to talk about, because we're talking about more physicality, how did you go to get that job? Did you have your hair out? Did you have cornrows in? How did you get that job?
No, I definitely pressed my hair and curled it, and I remember my hair exactly for the interview. I remember everything about the interview. Like, I pressed my hair, I curled it, I had pulled this side back, and I had a little clip in it. I wore this shift dress that was like teal and black printed, and it had like a little black band around the sleeve and a black band around the hem. Had on some cute patterned stockings and some nice high heels.
I mean, very professional. But here's the thing.
And makeup.
With being a black woman, being a woman to get a job, yes, you need to go presentable. But within being a black woman and going to get a job, there is this thing that, you gotta go as not black as possible. I might be able to get away with putting my hair in a ponytail, but in the real world, I also know that Twilisha's name does not give her the luxury to go in there as a Twilisha.
Child, it's hard for me to find a job, and it's not because I don't look good on paper. I look great on paper. My resume is amazing.
Hard.
But every opportunity I've had, I've had to work that much harder and do that much more to get it because.
And if you're about to go,
I look the way I do, and my name is Twilisha.
And if you're about to put something in the comments, no, it doesn't have to be like that. We live in the real fucking world. it's her name. Like it's funny when she would tell me, and she'd be like, I can't believe it's my name, and I was like, 100% is her name. I know it is, and I hate that it is, but it is. And because
I was like, I don't understand why I can't find another job. And I said to her, I was like, I feel like the only reason I keep coming up with is that it's my name. And I was like, that's just so stupid. And I do try to hide my name. Like, if I'm trying to get like a regular corporate job, I go by my middle name as much as possible because my middle name is Lynn. But in today's day and age, it's hard to conceal names unless you like get your name changed, and even then. So it definitely comes up, and like if you have to apply for things online, I can't put T. Like they're gonna be like, that's not a name. On my resume, I have T. Lynn McClelland, because Lynn McClelland could be anybody, but Twilisha is definitely a black girl,
and she shows up as a black girl. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's a thing like. You don't. We don't have this luxury. Like,
and I show up very black. Like, Rose is absolutely not white passing, but she could be Latina passing. She could be what are you passing? And if she was to press her hair out,
absolutely. If you ever see that,
you know what I mean. But I can't pass for anything. So even if I managed to slip and slide through the cracks by trying to conceal my first name, I still have to show up to the interview looking how I look, and I have to hope and pray that these people aren't racist or that they don't have a problem with having a forward-facing person look like me. You know what I mean? Like, because the jobs that I was applying for, I would have been a forward-facing person. So
it's a thing.
It's a lot. I remember telling this story when I was at the Breakfast Club or Power Breakfast. Should we say that? The Breakfast Club. I'll call it that. I remember telling a story when I was at the Breakfast Club and that white woman started crying, and I was like, I was so accustomed to all the fucking hoops I have to go through to look to look presentable for white people and for them to believe that I can do a job, that I was just like, yeah, so, I had to do this, and I, conceal my natural hair because the woman started crying, and I almost, I had a moment, I was like, oh, no, I felt bad, and the other black people in the room were like, no, it's fine, no problem. But in my mind, it's just such a part of my life that if I had to cry, if I cried about every fucking racial microaggression, or every time I was reminded that I'm black, or reminded that I'm dark skinned, or reminded that I have 4C hair, I would be crying all the time. I don't have time to cry for that. But because this white woman, it didn't cross her mind.
It never crosses her mind.
She was like, oh my God, that's awful. You're right.
I very much was aware of it, and I thought about it when I named my own children. I definitely named my kids how it's going to look on a job application. I would have loved to have been more creative with my kids. My very eccentric, weirdly looking kids. I could have done a lot, but I was like,
I feel like your children's names are kind of ethnic, though.
They're a little bit.
Especially
the youngest or the middle.
The younger ones.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think anybody would be like, Xavier is a white man.
Yeah, no, I guess not. But I definitely was it looks good on paper. I was like, they all have their middle. But I'm not going to give out my kids' names because I am a
that's a lot.
But I know you can't wait for me to slip up. I'm not going for Mom of the Year.
Don't worry about people's children.
Yeah,
that's weirdo behavior.
Yeah, but no, I definitely think that the way that we look matters, and we're in an industry that matters. She's a makeup artist. I'm in media, and I think that surgery is a real thing. But I don't want to get surgery to the point that I'm a cartoon person.
I'm an old lady. I don't want to be a cartoon person, but I have to be realistic. I'm an older woman.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not 22. I'm not one of these little 22-year-old chippies who get a sugar daddy and go get their whole body done. I could probably get a sugar daddy and get my body done, but I'm on blood thinners and I get blood clots. So, I have to take into account those are very serious surgeries when people are getting these BBLs and they're very casual about it, but it's a very serious. It's very serious.
I'm looking, and because I have so much skin, I have to get multiple surgeries. I could not just go in one time and come out. I would have to do my arms and legs in one session, and then my boobs and stomach and back in another session. So this would be 2 major surgeries,
recovery time,
and things go wrong. And again, not in my 20s. Also, I'm in my 30s. I must be 40. So and I'm not gonna have the money. So I will be getting the surgery in my 40s. That makes it dangerous.
That's a thing to take into account too. Like, that's okay. That's what happened to Kanye West's mom, trying to keep up with the Joneses and get all these. And her body was like, bitch, we're 50. Like, that's a lot of, that's stress on your body. Just because they put you to sleep does not mean your body is any less aware of what's going on. Like, your body is aware the trauma's going on. Like, hey, bitch, what you doing?
There's some, like, I have some footage in my documentary, because even the gastric sleeve surgery, as much as everyone's like, oh, it's not. Like, it's a definite surgery. Like, I was under anesthesia. They cut 6 places in me. Like, I had bruises from, like, with the incisions. Like, it's a real ass surgery. And I, again, a parent, because I'm trying a real person, was like, is the risk worth it? But the way I was going, I was gonna die in my 50s the way my mom did if I didn't get this under control. And I was like, I feel like this is a sensible thing to do. I was also, like I said, did all the steps. I'm a prime candidate.
But the thing about Rose is, and I have a lot of respect for you, is she literally was like, there's something more wrong here than that I'm overweight. That's like a symptom. But there's something else entirely where this is coming from. And she really did the actual hard work of changing her lifestyle and addressing her mentality and addressing, like, what happened. Like, nigga asked her what happened. She decided to address it. A lot of people will attempt to lose weight, but they won't address the reason why the weight is there, especially when you're talking about losing hundreds of pounds. Like, I'm talking about I need to lose 20 pounds. That's just me being laying around too much. When you talk about people are having an extra 100, 200 pounds that they can spare to lose, something's going on. And if you don't go to that part, even if you was to lose it, you're probably going to gain it back if you don't figure out why it's there.
It seems so daunting too. It wasn't like I gotta lose 20 pounds. It was like I gotta lose 2. And like, you're so focused on I gotta lose 200 pounds that you're not like, how did I get, like, what's happening here? And I will say this about him. He definitely was like, he kind of snapped, because the one thing I did always have, and I always was like, well, I'm a smart girl, and that was my thing. Like, that was my go-to. I'm a rest on that. Like, that I got. This brain, I got. And he was like, him saying to me, like, I feel like if you really want to lose weight, like, you're smart enough to figure it out if you wanted to. And I was like, he's fucking right, because I do everything else I want to do. And when I couldn't, I was like, I didn't know what to do, because I was like, oh, I'm, I usually can figure everything out on my own. I gotta do something different. Like, something's gotta be different. And I knew that I had to reach out to somebody else, because I'm a person that I realized, like, my grandma had this saying, like, only fools think they know everything. You don't know.
But I think that's a thing too for Black women and also people in poverty. Like, asking for help is hard, and
we get told no a lot. Like,
and if you already have, like, I think Rose and I have this in common. We have, like, a sense of pride about us. We don't want to let people see us sweat. We don't want to let people see the struggle that we might have behind, backstage. We just want to show up, but, show up and do what you have to do. So asking for help is having to admit that you can't do something without help. And, like, that was something that I really had to get out of in order to kind of get where I'm going and to meet my goals. Because
but also, could you ask people around you for help?
That's another thing too. Like, I had a friend, and she was one of the first people I met that could, like, really depend on her parents. And I was just, because, and it wasn't like parents were such horrible parents, but literally, like, I grew up in the hood, so everybody, like, all my friends were in the hood too, so people are living hand to mouth, people are dealing with addictions, people are dealing with abusive relationships. And not to say that doesn't happen in Get Money households, but if money is there, it can plug a lot more holes. That's all I'm saying. So, like, seeing somebody who could depend on their parents, who could move away from home and pursue their artsy dreams and maybe not have the rent. Today, I could not call my mother and be like, I ain't got the rent this month. Can you spot me? Or can I just have it? Can I just have $500? No, I can't just I didn't have those kind of people in my life. So I kind of, by default, I learned that I was the person to depend on.
Same.
And it's hard. It's hard to let that go, especially when you are capable, such as Rose and I. Like, I was the one to depend on, and I could depend on me. Like, I took care of myself. I got myself, you know, when my mother was doing what she was doing and she would stop being real, I got myself up. I got myself ready for school. I made sure that I ate. You know what I mean? I made sure of those things still. And I still do. So it's like, if I can't do something or if I need to ask for help, I feel embarrassed. And I feel like I'm failing and I shouldn't know how to do this and I should be able to do it by myself. But I had to reprogram myself away from thinking about asking for help like that. Because I'm like,
it wasn't...
everybody who's anybody didn't get there by themselves.
But also, it wasn't until I addressed my weight issues that I realized how much of the people in my life and my environment was contributing to my weight. Because here's the thing, when you care about yourself, you put good people in your life, you put good things in your body, you do these things that you just do. What I was realizing, because I was at my heaviest by like 18, 19. So I was like 405, and like at one point I don't really know how much I weighed because there was no scale to weigh me. So like I was losing the weight, learning backwards, because I was like, wait a minute. 18 is kind of crazy for this to be so out of control. So I was like, oh, the people in my life were failing me, and also not noticing this big red flag of me being so overweight and like helping. So it wasn't, because I was like, oh, when I started to pull myself together, and I had to do it by myself because I didn't have the support system, and it wasn't until after the surgery that I was like, well, if the people in my life cared about me when they said they cared about me when I was at my heaviest, they would have noticed that I was, you know, depressed and not eating too much, or been like, hey, let's go for a walk. Like, that dude who was blunt enough to like snap me out of it also wasn't like, hey, we did work out, and we would work out occasionally, but he wasn't like, hey, let's work out and get you on a thing. Because I really think at that point in my life, that's all I was waiting for.
When I was friends with Rico, and he was having a lot of health issues and stuff before everything happened, I would come home from work every day. I was like, well, if this is all going on with you and you're so, getting sick because of your weight, I was like, I will walk with you every day. Because I was like, I don't want my friend to die. Like, this is my friend. And he's talking about, you got heart problems and this and that. And, things was happening. So I was like, well, if you just have to lose some weight, I will at least, we can start walking every day. You don't get enough exercise.
That's what made me realize that I didn't have people in my life who cared about me. And there was so much of me losing weight that, again, because so much of it was mental health. I was losing the weight and then, processing all these feelings I had never processed before. I was angry, I was sad, and it was because I had been so used to being neglected and not taking care of myself that as I started to do it, I realized how much nobody else had and how out of control things got. And I was like, the people in my life that were supposed to take care of me or were in my life weren't. So that's why I'm very grateful for the relationship that we're able to have, or we're able to be real and open about our insecurities. What she's saying is so valid to me, and I understand her perspective of, and I feel like every woman does, not feeling your best or being a little, and it's not about we want to have the perfect body, and it's not about just wanting to be attractive, but it's okay, I need to feel good about this. Mm-hmm. This is all I have.
You only get the one body, And I just feel like when you're talking about people to care about you, I remember one of the first times that I went over to Rose's house, I was like, well, it was if you don't mind me saying, it was just a little unkempt.
Oh no, you can totally, you can talk about it.
And but I was just as soon as I walked in, and I was like, well, this is a mental health thing. Nobody is just I'm perfectly well adjusted, and mm-hmm. I just have, mop water hanging around from last week. That's not what well-adjusted people do. So I didn't say nothing about it. I was just like, well, whatever, she going through something, and that's just where she's at. But this nigga
that was always at my house, he
would come and hang out her house every minute, and want to tell her that her house is dirty. And I'm like, but you want to be up in there every day. I went to her house, and I was like, well, I don't want to hang out here. I'm not going to be up in her house every day. But it wasn't something that it was not something that I felt like I needed to talk about. And it was also something that I was like, I didn't get, you know how some people are just dirty. Like, I never got the sense from Rose that she was dirty. So, like, when I came to her house and I was like, well, something's going on. Like, I moved right past it. But I would never come to her, and I would certainly never come to her house all the time and be hanging out and be telling her that her house is dirty. Like, bitch, if my house is so dirty, get the fuck out.
And it was so funny because I was in the muck of all my mental health stuff. Like, at this point, I was just trying to work out to lose weight. I was just like, I'm good. Okay, figured it out. This dude told me I was fat. I'm gonna get, like, I was on it. So, I remember that I was also working, going to school, working out, taking care of my kids, and I was dealing with all these things. And so of course you can't do all of that as a single woman, and like my house was getting out of order. But I would, because I'm me, and I did like hanging out with this guy, I would clean my, and then finally I remember I had to stop hanging out with him. And instead of him maybe realizing that something was going on, because I was going through a depression at the time, and like I couldn't mop my floors and hang out with him. I couldn't. And
some shit is just not gonna happen.
I'm still working. Like I still was doing the main part, and because
Rose and I talk a lot about how when you're impoverished and you have mental health, it's not as clear because you cannot, like, I'm the only one who's gonna pay the bills. I can't take to the bed. It doesn't matter how sad I am. I can't take to the bed. I have to go to work. Mm-hmm. But there was a point in my life where, like, I was basically doing the bare minimum. And whatever I did, I didn't get any satisfaction out of it. I was just, if I ate, I just was like, well, if I don't eat, I'll perish. So I gotta eat this food or whatever.
And that's
but you can't take to the bed. So you still look functioning.
So I could look functioning on the outside, but I knew I could only do it so many things against the hole in the bucket thing. I can only do it, so I cut off talking to him. Now instead of
but
him
this is somebody she's known by this point for what? I mean, 5 years.
Yeah.
I started hanging out with Rose in person, like we talked about in 2020, and I think there was a point. It was like late summer, early spring, and like there were like 3 gorgeous days, and like I hit her up every day, like, hey, what you doing? You wanna? And normally Rose is ready to go anywhere. She's like, yeah, let's go. She's like, oh, no, I'm tired. Oh, no. And I was like, I think it was like the 4th nice day. And like, she finally was just like, I've been depressed. And I was like, yeah, because I was about to show up at your house if you told me again you didn't want to come outside. 4 days.
And that's the thing. And this is what I know about having real people in my life now. Like, I look back at that and I'm like, this dude just was like, well, she's not, and stopped hanging out with me. It was like, I'm being weird, and then was like acting, and I was like,
instead of thinking something's wrong, possibly having an attitude that she wasn't accessible. And I'm like, I don't have an attitude, but I do find this behavior different. So
if you know me, if you really know, and that's the thing, like, we live together now, and I am the like queen of like picking stuff up before she can even finish stuff, because I just am neurotic like that. So like, it's not a thing. Like, I always say, and when he would say to me, especially when I was going back to school and I was working out, really working on all these huge goals, like, at one time, and he would, like, say something about my floors not being mopped. I remember being like, I'm busting my ass so that I can have someone clean my floors one day. Like, I know where I'm putting my energy and expending it, and, like, I have only so much to give to my kids, and my job, and my body, so fuck my floors. I am doing an impossible task. Like, I'm running a whole household as one person. Like,
when they talk about lift yourself up by your bootstraps and you don't have boots or straps, like, you never even heard of a bootstrap. Like, that's what people who are in the hood and who are in poverty be doing. And so, like, don't nobody be trying to hear, like, sometimes it baffles me to think that my parents, both of my parents, were drug addicts. One is still actively a drug addict. And I don't know how I got that job. I'd be like, how was I able, but like, it was hard. And even with all the work I did, I still have to sit around and be like, it's hard for me to get another job because my name is Twilisha. And I think that it's stupid that my mom, like, sometimes, like, I will hear other black people be like, well, I name my kids this and this and that. And I'm like, And I get it. And I don't begrudge them for that. But I also feel like that's not fucking fair. If my mother wants to name me Twilisha,
she should be able to.
She should be. I like my name. Like I remember being a little girl and I always loved my name because it was unique and nobody else had it. I felt like it was only mine. I felt like it made me different. And whenever I would introduce myself to people, they would be like, oh wow, that's really unique, or that's an interesting name, or sometimes people would say that's a beautiful name. And I would be like, wow, I really like my name. And it's like, it seems stupid to me that I shouldn't be able to have this name because when I get into corporate America, some faceless white person is going to have a problem with it. Like, I don't think that that's something that a pregnant woman should have to think about. What's going to happen in 20 years?
There's just so much, like I said, there's so much that as being a woman and your physicality, your name, like there's so much that goes into every single part of it. It's a lot. And the expectations are, again, fucking real. Like they're unreal. Like, and also that's the thing we talk about too, because all right, we've been, we have jobs, we had things going on. Like the expectation is that as a woman you're supposed to be, at your physical peak or whatever, right? To be
it's a lot.
But let's talk about those kept women. Because here's the thing. Like I had, at one point I would nanny and I had another life at another point in my life. Those women who are working out 3 hours a day, let me tell you about their husbands, okay? They are paying for, like here's the thing, most women don't have 3 hours a day to work out. Like, come on.
People feel like black women at large should portray and be able to put forth the front that a lot of trophy wives and stuff are able to put forth. But then you have our counterparts, our men, all of our men want us to have half the bills. Like that's pretty much standard. So if I have to have half the bills, that means what? I have to have a job. I have to have some kind of profession. I have to have some kind of way of making income, which is fine. I'm not saying fine. I've been having a job. I've had a job since I was 13. This is like the longest I haven't had a job in a long time. But if I gotta leave the house every day and go to work, right? 8 days, 8 hours a day, commuting. If we have children, I am expected to do most, to bear the burden of most of the child rearing, the heavy lifting of that I'm expected to have. I'm expected to have the heavy lifting of the chores. So how am I going to keep house, fucking suck my man, take care of the kids, be a family member? Because I didn't just spawn into the world. I have family, I have friends. So how am I supposed to tend to all those things and work out and keep my hair done and do my makeup? How? I only have the same 24 hours a day that everybody else has. And if my man is not making a space for me to be that very dainty feminine woman that he wants, then I don't want to hear him wanting that bitch, because nigga, you got to pay for that bitch. That bitch is not free. She got needs. She got needs. You want her to look fucking fine and fly and always be on point? That has a cost. And I'm sure that always on point bitch is not going to work and doing commutes and having half the bills. She's not doing it.
I remember having the argument with this guy friend of mine about Michelle Obama and Barack Obama, because he at this point I remember him saying to me that, well, you don't think Barack Obama would leave Michelle if she got fat? And I was like, well, one, I don't think Michelle Obama would just all of a sudden get fat, but two, if she did, I feel like he would check in and be like, you want to go for a walk, Michelle? Because
at what point, like, what's Michelle gonna do? Michelle's gonna gain 100 pounds, and Barack is what? What's Barack doing? You don't gain 100 pounds overnight. What's Barack doing after the 20? Because I feel like 20 is the window. Mm-hmm. 20 pounds is about when your clothes start to not fit. You start to feel like right around that is where you start to be like, something's up. And the people around you, if it gets to 30, 40, they be like, something's up. So I want to know between 30 and 40, where's Barack? Because if Michelle's going to pop up 100 pounds and he's just going to leave her,
But also, again, Barack saw the value in Michelle. And I think that's the thing too. Like, I like that we're having a conversation about physicality, but both of us are intelligent women. We have other things to rely on. But also, we live in a real world that if you don't have those other things, honey,
the way that
lean
Rose
into your looks.
The way that Rose is like, like, my looks are not important, and like, I feel the same way, but for different reasons. Where for her, it was always very overt, and like, everybody was into her looks. I was very much like, can anyone see me? Because nobody paid attention to my looks. So in my mind, I was like, well, I have to have other things about me to pull attention, because clearly it's not my looks.
I hate when women say this to me, and I'm like, it's always brown-skinned women who say this thing that they feel invisible, and I'm never gonna disregard that, because I've had too many women. They're like the same way that cops are treating black people, is just too much to be like, it's just a thing. It's like too many brown women have said this to me for me to be like, you're being sensitive. Clearly, there's a part of our society that ignores or tries to actively ignore black and brown women. Like, I'm very much aware of that, and I like I said, that's a valid ass statement. I'm not like, there's nothing I can add to that or take away from it. It doesn't offend me. I'm not like, that's not your experience because it wasn't my experience. Like, it's a valid ass thing. I just wish people could open up their mind to like other perspectives. Again, like, I can understand the importance of looking good. I think we're both attractive women. I think it adds to our appeal. I think it adds to us, but it doesn't define us.
Right. And both of us, for different reasons, came to the end conclusion that you can't rely on your looks for all of it. Like, I can definitely put forth my looks, and I can definitely put forth some titties to any endeavor, like, if that's gonna help. Like,
that's always her contribution.
So everybody was beeping at us during our walk, and I said, I wonder if it's because I have my shirt on. Because like Rose said, like, I'll get undressed anywhere. And I was like, I'm sweaty.
This is not undressing me. This is just a sports bra. Like, this is totally
it's a sports
cool.
bra. I felt like it, I'm walking. But I was like, I wonder if it's because I have my shirt off. And Rose was like, I don't think so. Like, that's like normal. And I was like, yeah, but I have all these titties. And she's like, oh, that's right. I forgot I'm walking with titties. Like,
that's not a thing.
She said I left my titties in the house.
I never leave my titties. I'm like, I never have my titties with me. And I have my sports bra on, so it's like, look, you can read my shirt perfectly. So yeah, but that's a thing too. Like, I'm very much aware that she's self-conscious of things, but like, she's not weirdly self-conscious of things. So I remember, like I said, it was a thing for me because I always had a big ass and big thighs. Like, I was like, oh my God, I was covering them up. Like I said, I worked in a space of extremes because no one was really raising me. So like, I was like, cover it all. Like, I'm very, like she said, I wanted to be known for other qualities besides my physicality. And for me, the easier thing, like, I was never not going to be light skinned. I was never not going to be racially ambiguous. So I was like, if I'm the fat girl, I got to like have a personality. I got to be smart. I got to do these things. So I understand that looks are important. Like, we get it.
And it's like, I definitely had, like, when I got to high school and shit, and I just, I went through puberty. I got these big titties. I got thighs. I'm sturdy. Like, that's how I see myself. Like, I'm sturdy. I have like a strong build. But I felt fucking fat because everybody else was so much smaller, and like, most of the girls didn't have so much breasts, and so like, and then like, I became very aware of boys and men being aware that I was sexy to them, and I didn't like it, and I was just like, this is weird. Everyone feels very compelled to just openly talk to me about my breasts, so I wouldn't show them, like,
And how old were you? Like,
I would be like 16, 17, 18. Like, I remember, like, and then if I did, like, wear a shirt that showed off my cleavage, sometimes women would behave strangely at me. Like, I remember I was like, I was in college and I used to work for lens crafters. and I was working at this Liz Crafters in the city. And I remember I was telling my friend at the time, I was like, yeah, I was at work, and like my supervisor was talking to me, but like he was looking at my breast the whole time, and I was like kind of upset because I was like, I mean, we're at work, like. And then she said back to me, well, I mean, you always have them out, and like I stopped having the conversation immediately because I was just like, I felt attacked, and I was just like, because I was like, why would she think that I would have my cleavage out at work? Like, it was just such a, and I was like, this is my best friend said this to me, and I'm like, why am I being attacked right now by my best friend for having big breasts? Like, and like, I just remember, I never forgot that conversation, and I just always remember thinking like, damn, like, bitches is really mad at me because I got big titties. Like, I didn't choose these. They just came with me. Like, they just popped up when I was 13. So there's like, and there's a self-consciousness, and there's like an anxiety around my boobs, and like now that I'm in my mid-30s, like I'm able to like be comfortable in my body, but that took me time. Like my brother will be like, I don't like how you, and I'm like, it took me a long time to feel like I could do this, so I'm gonna do it.
I definitely, and like I said, I definitely know that she's a good influence on me for that. Like, I'm still mid-limbo with all my body stuff. Like, again, I realized it came from, like, other stuff. When you say you were going through your booby issues, which I never quite had, but I heard that, I had a man tell me the first time I was sexy was when I was 10. So, like that, when you have people at a young age, and I remember not even really knowing what it was, but knowing that, like, I don't want to be that.
When you're young and men are approaching you, like, I remember, I'll never forget this. This was my 12th birthday. I remember my outfit because I remember feeling like I had such a cute little outfit on. I had a skirt and some stockings, and I had like a little crop top. It was the 90s. And I was walking to my friend's house, and some man, and I knew he was a man. He had facial hair, he looked a little older. He came out of his house, and he starts trying to, like, be, trying to holler. And I'm like, super uncomfortable because I know this is a grown person, and I told him that I was 12. Like, just turn 12. Just turn 12. And I'm like, I'm 12. And that did not deter him. And I remember feeling so, like, not knowing what to do, because I was like, if me telling him that I'm 12 is not a deterrent, I don't know what else. I'm a little girl, sir. I'm a child.
I love when, that's why I tell these stories, because I just was never a space where again, the reason I got to 400 pounds was because I was super aware of my physicality, and like, that it was like a thing for guys. And so when Twy tells these stories, and I'm always like, yeah, no, they're like, I was like, I by 10 was like, these niggas is crazy, and they will fuck you, and they will fuck you, and they won't care. Like,
my saving grace was that I had older brothers, and my mother, when I came, she was conditioning them that it was their responsibility to take care of me and to protect me. So I had a little bit of insulation around me. My brothers were well known where we lived, so most people knew me as their little sister. So most of the men would leave me alone. But there would always be the odd person out who didn't maybe know who I was or didn't know who my brothers were, and they would try me. And I was young. I remember I was like, I want to say maybe 13 or 14. I think I was 13 because I had gone into a store and this guy was like trying to holler at me. And then like he was just like in the middle of his attempt, and then he was like, wait a minute, you Tay's little sister? And I was like, yeah. And like he just walked away. I don't know what my brothers were out there telling niggas, but like I could not get no play for years because my mother had trained my brothers to be like, that's your little sister.
See,
make sure.
But
Rose is the eldest.
Yeah, and I definitely like I get from her like I've told her this before, you had a protected vibe. Like I'm the oldest. There was not a man regularly in my household. My mom, again, loved her, but was unreal and could not protect me. And so that's, again, another reason that I was like, I need this weight because I was the protector in my household. I was the one who would buck up at whatever, was going on. So I also was like, and I was a taller girl, so I had that going on for me. So I just was like, again, when I met this dude who told me later that I was fat, I was like, yeah, but it keeps me safe. And I remember him being like, no, it doesn't. Like, he was the first person to be like, that's a ridiculous plan. I'm 30. But I was like, but it worked though. Like, I was like,
I'm still here, ain't I?
Like,
but no, literally, like, I'll be talking to Rose, like, and I'll be telling her about some of my stories, and I'll be like, a couple times niggas have saved me. Like, I used to have a friend, and she lived kind of like not far. Like, we could walk to one another's house, but it was far enough that at night when you get done doing her rat shit with your friends in your high school age, I would walk her halfway, and then she would walk halfway by herself, and I would walk back home by myself. So I'm walking back home by myself after we reached a halfway point, and out of the darkness, like, I hear my name, like, I'm walking past a porch, and they're like, somebody's like, Twalisha, and they lean out of the shadows, and I'm like, oh, it's somebody I went to high school with, but, like, we weren't friends or anything, but I also, like, didn't dislike this man. I was just like, that's him. So then he's like, if he could walk with me, and again, I'm kind of feeling like, I don't need or want you to walk with me, but I'm not, like, I was indifferent to the whole situation. I was like, whatever, nigga, if you want to walk with me, fine, like, I'm just trying to get home. And we're walking, and he's talking to me, the conversation's slow, and I'm just like, whatever. And at one point, we're walking past, like, a back parking lot. It's not well lit. And he's like, come over here with me. And I'm like, nah, I'm good. Like, I'm trying to go home. And so then he starts to just pull me over there with him. Now, I'm not no lightweight, but I'm 200 pounds, but he's a man. Like, he's a boy. So he's obviously stronger than me. And so he starts pulling me over there, and I'm like, no, I don't want to go. And I'm trying to pull out of his grasp, and I can't. And just by the grace of goodness, like, we were by my old house, and I used to know the neighbor across the street would sometimes come over and chat with me. And so he just happened to be outside, and he was like, Twalisha? And I was like, Betty! And I just, like, he kind of startled old dude. I snatched out of his grasp, but I'll never forget that, because I really feel like homeboy was gonna rape me, and what was I gonna do?
And again, she's 200 pounds, but he's a man. Now, I'm telling you, I know it seems crazy to be like, being a 400-pound woman is crazy, but when you're
she had a dead weight on him.
And that always was my plan. And like, what's your plan? I'm a dead. And it seems crazy, and you're like, oh, that's a crazy thing to do, but
who can just lift 400? Like, you gotta be in shape to not only just pick things up and put things down, but to pick up a dead or struggling 400 pounds. That's not your everyday nigga that's gonna be able to do it.
And you can say that's a crazy ass plan, but like, I dare you to be an unprotected black woman for fucking ever. Like, and that's the thing. And that's the thing about it.
As strong and muscular as I am and was in like 16, and as much as I did have 200 pounds on me, I could not get away from this person. And he was, it felt like, men will make you feel like you don't weigh anything all of a sudden, the way they're strong.
The other thing that catapulted me into losing weight was this guy telling me, like, I'm a man. And he was muscular and built, and I was like 350 at the time. And he picked me up like I wasn't shit and threw me. And I was like, I just remember being like, well, if it's not even good, I was like,
but this is a person who is in peak physical condition. He works out all the time. That's not everybody. So, in context of your average nigga, your average person, is not gonna just lift a 350 pound, like, oh, this is just a sack of potatoes. Like, no, it's not realistic. And if you have to get her a place, because she's talking about a man she knows and trusts picking her up and tossing her around.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about a stranger trying to put me in his car. I'm a fall out. Get off of me.
But I definitely remember when he did that. It was this thing of this very real, like, most guys wouldn't be able to take me. But I feel like as a woman, most of us have either been or have been raped or just you can't fight it. You can't fight all the time.
And that's the thing with, like, a rape. It wouldn't help you because it's unfortunate. I don't know if we need to get into this, but it just wouldn't help you.
But that's the thing. Like, there's this thing, and that's why I think it's important to talk about our physicality, our mental health, how our body, because we didn't just get here. Like, that's the thing. Like,
and they talk about obesity and black girls and things like that, and nobody ever wants to talk about the physical danger that a lot of black girls and women are constantly in. And being 120 pounds soaking wet might not be the vibe if there's a bunch of fucking predators.
I'm terrified now. I'm portable. I wasn't portable before. Like, and not even that. Like, okay, probably she gained a little bit of weight, but also I know it's because she hasn't been able to, because she can't go out by herself. Like, she can't go. You have to. There's only a small window of anti-rape time. I'm just saying, like, to be real. And even then, it could still happen. But, like, there's a small
but I have window. To, like, go a certain, like, where we live, it takes about 5 to 10 minutes to, like, just get out the neighborhood. And then around us, it's just a bunch of, like, little shopping malls and plazas and
I was worried about her. And I know she's a hiker and she's not going to go cliff diving without me. But I would even worry about her hiking by herself because she'd be like, yeah, I'm on a trail. I would know she's on some trail somewhere in some state that I don't really know. And then if something happens,
like one day I like to do, and I like to hang out by the water, and I like to, adventure. I'm like I'm doing a fucking explorer. So I'm on a trail, and there was like a tree that had fallen, and it went across the creek, and I was like, oh, it'd be nice to kind of sit in the middle of this and smoke my joint. And so I'm doing that, and I see other hikers coming, and like through the leaves, I can see that one of the hikers has on like American flag cowboy boots, and I was like, on the trail, it's important to you, like, to
rep that,
signify that you're in a, like, it was just extreme. And so I remember when they passed by, like, I keep a knife on me when I'm out in the woods, but when they passed by, it was 3 of them. Like, I can't fight off 3, like, if they wanted to rape me, what am I do? I'm in the middle of a branch, like, it was much. So as soon as they passed, because I had eyes on them the whole time, I'm just watching them, like, but when they passed and I felt like it was safe, I slid right up, and I was like, it's time for me to get out of here, because as a black person in the South, I don't trust these white people. So
again, there's so many factors. Like, how do you want us to be? Like, here's the thing. Like, and I think that and
I don't have a man to come out. And as a black woman, we can talk about this in another episode. Black men don't have hobbies.
Oh, that's a whole
They don't do things.
So,
as much as I might, like, the type of person that I need to be with me, he needs to be a whole, fully formed person. Because I like to do things. I'd like him to want to do things. I'd like to have a man with me while I'm sitting in the middle of a fucking tree that fell across a creek, so that when 3 white men walk by, I don't feel like I need to scurry out the woods.
But also, because you know that you want to do that, like, it's going to put you around better people. Like, it's like the fact that we are getting out and being physical, like, we're going to be around other people who take it as a priority too, who know that being healthy is something, like, that's the thing. I don't want to be with someone who their main habit is watching YouTube. Like,
right.
We gotta.
So, it's a lot, and I feel like we should probably wrap up. We're a little over an hour now.
Oh, okay. That's good.
you know, also I have to pee. Thank God my hands are swollen. How are they looking now? They looking better?
I feel like they are looking better. But we have to also go stretch because we actually just like came in from a 7-mile walk, sat our asses down, and started doing this. But yeah, so this is, I feel like this is good because we talked about like the Face Gawdess, we've talked about shrinking violet, we've talked about some like, we're just real ass people. So.
I think we're getting good, and I think we're getting into some more deeper topics. So I think this is going well.
Yeah, we are gonna eventually we will get to ripping apart men
and women because
and
I have
women.
some things.
We're gonna drag both of y'all pretty badly. I feel like we're making you like us now because we're about to drag you all for filth. So
yeah.
Oh, we're also out of weed, so we gotta go because this is like a
facts. Yo,
there's no blunt conversation.
Free my bud man
Yo,
because his replacements are slow.
Oh, it's so corny right now.
Our bud man is locked up, and it's no bueno at all. We got the one replacement. She don't want to answer the phone. The other replacement giving us weed and like broken off fucking grocery bags with hairs in it and shit. I don't want that. And he got a nerve to charge more. His weed is good. But if you're going to be charging me more, I don't want this dirty ass weed. But we do need to get some.
Yeah, but we got to go get this cat hair weed and get out of here. So because there's no blunt conversations with no blunt. So.
Yes. So
until next time. And then we're gonna look at her waist beads in a couple episodes.
Yes, because my waist beads, they used to be down here, y'all. That's how I know it's
I just love her. Like, no, she's not. Don't say you're fat. I'm not gonna let her rip herself apart.
Look at this. Look how tight. It ain't. Look at that. What's this?
Again, I love
what
it.
is this?
She's on top of it. She's got her limit. Like
if I pop a bead, I'm not gonna let that happen. I'm not
like,
gonna pop a
I
bead.
don't want to live with her if she pops a bead. Because I feel like she's gonna be like distraught. Like if you pop a bead, I feel like you're gonna be. Look at her face. Look at her face. I gotta.
I'm already taking care of it. All right, y'all.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. We gotta. Oh, ow. We gotta stretch.